Welcome back, Supers, to another Shark Tank Tank Tales. I'm your host, Joe Pardo, and it is so awesome to have yet another Shark Tank entrepreneur here on the show that we get to give some super claps to. So, right now, I need you to give some super claps wherever you are, sitting on the toilet, watching TV, watching somebody else watch TV, while you're sitting here listening or watching this show. I need some super claps for the super entrepreneur of Do Amore. Krish. Woo! Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Thanks so
Krish.
much. I'm
How are
excited to talk. Yeah. Good to see
I'm
you.
excited to have you here. So, first off, we got to talk. Shark Tank. Were you a fan before you got to be on the show? Not a fan?
Yeah. Was a pretty big fan, especially the first few years going back, 7, 8 years ago. That's not the first few years, but when I started watching it, 2014, 2015, huge fan. I actually have applied to the show many times.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Applied to the show 3 straight years at the beginning of Do Amore, and first time got what I thought was pretty far. 1 or 2 rounds, didn't make it. Next year, applied again, got to 3 or 4 rounds, thought I was really close, didn't make it. And then 2016, they asked me to apply again. I got really far, and I was pretty much sure. Like I was so excited. I was going to LA. I was going to go film, and I got cut again. And I think that last one, I was like, oh my goodness, I was at the finish line, and so that was a little bit hard. Um, and I don't know what came to me, but in 2021, I just decided, you know what, I want to apply again. So much has changed about my business. This is no longer a tiny little idea. It's a company that's actually doing a lot of good in the world. So I applied again and ended up getting far. And once I got to that same point I had gotten, I was really excited. And then I didn't realize just how much more comes after that. So I thought I was really close in the past. And then you realize actually you weren't close at all. There's like so many more things that you have to do. So it was definitely a process, but a huge fan of the show, a huge fan of so many of the sharks themselves, and then a huge fan of so many of the entrepreneurs that have been on the show. So really excited to be a really, really tiny part of that community. Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. Well, I think that goes so says so much about the drive to even though getting rejected. Time passes by. You keep focusing. You keep digging. You keep progressing where you're at in the business. And then we're in a good spot. We're doing things, and maybe it's time to toss my hat back in and see what happens, right? And that's also now. I guess my question is, did anybody from those previous years remember you like through that process?
Yeah. I think one person did, but they didn't say anything when I saw them in LA. But um, I think when I applied this last time, they did know I had been close in the past. It seemed like, and so they did have, whatever filing system they have, it worked, and they did know that I had applied before. So that was kind of cool to see that, your application isn't just, you assume when they're getting 20,000 applications a year, at some point they got to delete their hard drive somewhere. But it was cool to see that they actually knew a lot of information already.
Well, that is
Yeah.
awesome to know. I mean, I know that I've been told their production team is incredible and it's incredibly friendly and wanting for you to succeed. So that's why I asked, like, would anybody remember? And
Yeah.
I mean, that's not overly surprising that at least one would be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember. I mean, and not like they go through a ton of
Yeah. Yeah.
applications
Yeah.
in the
For
process,
sure.
so it's not that surprising that not everybody would remember, but
Yeah.
that's good. That's heartwarming to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in the past, when I had applied consecutive years, I kind of was able to use part of my audition video over and over. Clip it here, clip it there. This time it was had to be completely fresh because I had changed. I looked different. I've aged, right? And company, the logos changed. Just so much had changed. So this video really had to be one from scratch. And um, but it was actually, I thought I was going to be very much overwhelmed with just how much work it is to apply on the show. But it actually was just kind of fun. And we were in a place where it was kind of cool. They asked such great questions. It was kind of cool. Like, wait, why don't I know these numbers? I should know these numbers. And then going in and figuring out what is this figure? What is this metric? I should actually know this for the business. So it's kind of cool. Like they're a great production team and they know business. They know business so well. that the questions they ask are actually good ones,
As they probably should if
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like producing a show that is going to throw you to the sharks or wolves,
absolutely.
however
Yeah,
you want to
for
say it.
sure.
But no, that is great. That is great to hear. So I forget what year did you actually found the business?
Um, so I left my job in 2013 to really create this and found it. 2014 was our first year working on this. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's not like a startup, which I was kind of nervous about, saying that in front of the sharks on TV. Um, but at the same
Mm.
time, like I could still use a shark's help. So I still applied and I still went on.
That okay, so that is a lot there, right? As far
Mhm.
as feeling like, because how many times have we heard like Damon or Mark say like,
Sure.
oh, what are you really doing here? You already have a business that's like well established,
Yeah.
and so we've heard that in the past, and so I think it's important like thinking that like I don't want to fall for the trap, right? Like, how
Mhm.
do I make it so that I don't come off as
Yeah.
and fall into that trap of like, why are you
Yeah.
really here? You're doing great.
Yeah.
Um, because and the second part of that is as businesses grow and change and evolve, we are always needing what's the next thing, right?
Mhm.
What's
Yeah.
the next bit of optimization? What's the next bit that can take us to that next level of scalability? What's actually holding us back? And sometimes we're too close, right? The tree to the forest type of thing,
Yeah.
where we're too close to it to really see like what's wrong or why
Mhm.
and I mean I'm running that now
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
our repair company, like coming back after 2 years as the CEO. I'm looking at some of these choices that I made 2, 3, 4 years ago, and I'm like,
Mhm.
does it really matter? Because you see it in motion, right, in the moment, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, ultimately, like it's been a couple of years and it didn't pan out the way that we intended this feature or this thing to work inside the company,
Yeah.
and it's actually making things harder for people than it needs to be.
Yeah, no. I mean, absolutely. And to be completely frank, like I'm pretty sure I had a couple of like dreams about them asking that question. Like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna say? But like the truth is like I tried getting on then. I've tried many times, didn't work out, got close, didn't work out, but I'm here again. And the thing for me is that it's really funny, but like looking back, even though the business is doing really well, don't get me wrong, we have a great team. I feel like I'm doing well as a CEO and a founder, and we have a great business. I truly feel like I could use a shark's help more now than I could have back when I was starting the company. When you're starting the
Mm,
company, like, yes, you can have mentors, yes, you can have help, but you really just have to go get your feet dirty. And I don't know, like, it kind of would have been odd as an entrepreneur that has doing his first business ever to take money from an amazing shark and you know experiment with that money and try things with that money as a first time entrepreneur. And I just felt like it was a lot more responsible this time around. Like I know a lot now, I still need help with a lot of different things, but I'm not just going to go take your money and potentially lose everything. Like I actually know what I'm doing with it now, and I could really use your help to go from where we are to a much larger brand. So I actually feel a lot better about applying this time. I felt like it was a lot better for the Sharks. I felt like it was a lot better for me. Of course, the old Krish would have loved to have been on the show then, but this was for sure the right path. And um, that's the thing. Like startups, obviously, are startups and they do need mentors and they do need help. But I think I need more mentorship and help than I've ever needed before because we're trying to grow more. We're trying to expand our product lines and like really like even though the company's established and doing well, it really is like drinking from a firehouse much more now than it was then. So yeah.
yeah, well, even I mean, how many employees are you at currently?
We're a team of 7.
Wow.
So
So that's 7 families that are well, assuming
yeah,
they're not all related to you, because then
sure.
it's like
Yeah, no one's related to me, just
technically one family, but
yeah,
like 7 families that you're responsible for
sure.
making sure that the money's there to put food on the table and
Yeah.
to do, clothes on the back and blah blah, all the things that you're supposed, the cliches.
Yeah.
But the reality is like that is super 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 important that you're able to do it responsibly. It's kind of like like everybody likes to talk about student loans. It's like,
Hmm.
should we give student loans to 18-year-olds that are like $150,000 and they're going to be, saddled with this debt forever, and they
Hmm.
don't even know if it's going to work out for them, like in that
Yeah.
industry or anything like that. And in the case of like a startup, like it's that responsibility of somebody else's money on top of like trying to grow the business, on top of keeping your family together,
Yeah.
on top of all that. It's
No,
the
absolutely.
stress
It
is
is,
immense.
and though it could have worked, like I feel like not having an investor's money and just having to bootstrap and having to really figure out how can you make every $10 go as far as it could go, that like really did help. I think it helped a lot, and now I feel like we're in a place. Okay, you know what? Now we're doing well. We can really go and scale this the right way. So I really do think like there is. I really love bootstrapped businesses, very much so, and I'm excited about it. I think we're obviously we're on the show with over $30 million in lifetime sales. Like we're not a small company, but I only went on the show because I knew if we could get help from a shark or maybe one or two specific sharks, um, it could really be helpful for the business. And fortunately, we did. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and now you have those lessons under your belt to be more responsible and do to maybe be able to handle the stress better of having not
yeah,
only a few, one employee, two employees, seven employees,
sure.
but also the investment of somebody
Yeah,
that is very much business minded and is not going to be like, oh yeah, it's okay, bro, just get back to
yeah,
me when you get back to me. It's no big deal.
sure.
Um, all right, so let's talk. So your pitch, when you
Mhm.
started to roll out, like, how am I going to craft my pitch, and prepare yourself to go on Shark Tank? How did you balance that with your business, which was already
Yeah,
doing, business,
for sure.
and family and everything in
Yeah,
between?
honestly, so I think pretty much Doamore related work, collaboration with the team, that was pretty much like the normal, 8 to 5 type thing. And then it was kind of like family time from, 5:30 to about 8:30, dinner, all that. And then pretty much like 9 to 1 a.m. was like Shark Tank. And that went on for a long time. And it was tough, obviously. But um, even that 9 to 1 a.m. Shark Tank time, like I said, some of their questions are just so good that you're answering a question for them and then you go on a tangent, you go research your own business and try to figure something out. And you're like, wait a second, how can I get this metric better? So a lot of that is Shark Tank time, but a lot of it was like, business optimization time at the same time. So it was definitely not easy. But at the same time, like I really wanted to be on Shark Tank. Like I really wanted to be on the show. And I and you can't tell anyone, right? That's what's tough. Is you're not supposed to tell
Yes.
anyone. You're not supposed to tell. And so, team like, I might have followed those rules too strictly because, I've talked to other people on Shark Tank now, and I've seen other episodes of your show and seen, just talked to other people, listen to podcasts. But I might have been too strict. But like, no one knew about Shark Tank except my wife. Like, no one else knew, and none of the team knew. Like, so it was kind of tough, like
Wow.
really trying to figure out, you obviously want to be very transparent with the team, but I just probably followed those rules so strictly that I think that was a little bit hard. But at the same time, it was a process, but it made our business better. Even if we weren't on the show, our business would have been better just from going through that process.
Wow. So have you watched Undercover Billionaire, like season one or two?
No, no, I haven't.
No.
No.
Okay. So like they're not like there's quote unquote billionaires that go into like a town they're not familiar with, and they have 90 days to build $1 million business,
Hmm.
right? So 90 days is not a lot of time to like
No.
literally build any business,
Yeah. No.
especially one that you may not have the skills like direct like from the business in which you
No,
made
for sure.
your
Yeah.
fortune from, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things about it was not only having to lie about who they were because they were
Mhm.
like undercover,
Yeah.
but the aspect of why do I need to do this so fast? you're rushing around, and I envision you like telling your team like, we need to scale a lot, like a lot, and we're
Sure.
not like, and you're like, we, because you don't know obviously until I think it's what 3 weeks out or so, 2 3 weeks
Correct.
out
3 weeks. Yeah.
before you air, right? Or 4 weeks,
Yeah.
3 4. So that's a so it's like, okay, so we need to scale up, but we don't want to scale up too big because like you still could get cut from the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
And then in this case, you're not even telling your team, so you're like, how
Yeah.
how are you containing yourself?
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, the worst part was just like feeling like you were being dishonest with your team at times, which was, I hated that. But
Probably like, what does this guy do? I thought I knew Chris. I thought
yeah,
everything was cool, and like
and
it
part
seems
of
like he's
me
lost his mind.
part of me feels like some of them did have a little bit of a hunch. Maybe I gave a small hint here and there, but I think part of it was just like, hey, we're like scaling for potentially doing like a big TV commercial. Like, let's focus on this. Let's focus on that. So it was a little bit more of that, and also at the same time, we're working like on a pretty exciting rebrand, or and I shouldn't say a rebrand, but a brand update. And
Mm,
so we had kind of started to scale things back anyways. So I think like Shark Tank airing was like the perfect timing because on one hand, like the team was working on like, um, things to help with our brand update anyways. We had scaled things back, we had scaled things down. And what's great about Do Amore is we don't have any inventory. So it's a totally different thing than most Shark Tank businesses where you have to scale up inventory ahead of time. So we make every ring to order. A customer places the order, we literally cast the recycled gold, you know, make the ring by hand. Everything is done after they order, and that's so that they're getting like a fresh ring that's never been worn by anyone. It's made to the right size. You don't have to go in and like resize a ring or anything. It's just like completely made to that customer. And the benefit for us is there's no inventory. So that means lower costs for us. We don't have to like add cost cushion to account for changes in gold price or anything. Like, it's just like the most streamlined way to sell an engagement ring. The only downside for a customer is instead of getting a ring in a few days, it takes 2-3 weeks. Like, that's the only downside. But like, there's so many positives for us and for the customer. So not having inventory like completely um, has been a blessing, because I can't imagine having to scale inventory for potentially hundreds and hundreds of engagement rings for a Shark Tank episode. So that was kind of a great aspect of our business that really worked well with the Shark Tank airing.
we will a little bit of a tease. We'll get into that more of that aspect of it
Yeah,
later on after the after Shark Tank part.
yeah, sure.
But because I have some questions about that and how all that worked out.
Yeah,
But so all right, fast forward. Everything's you're getting ready to go on Shark Tank. You get out to. Where are you actually from? Are you
I'm in
in?
Houston,
Here
Texas.
okay, so
Yeah.
you travel to LA
Mhm.
to do the show. You're walking down the hall, and what are you thinking? What's going through your mind? Do you
Yeah,
feel like you're prepared enough?
yeah.
Over prepared?
I don't remember. I don't remember at all. I think if I remember, I'm sure everyone has talked to you about that 30 seconds where you have to stand there and stare at everyone. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, I was just thinking about, oh my goodness, how am I going to do that 30 seconds? But you're standing there, you're looking at everyone, and um, I think honestly, what was really helpful going through the doors is that before you ever go, they do a little tour with you. So once you get there that morning, they give you a little studio tour. So they take you through, they say this is how you're going to walk, this is the X you have to stand on. They tell you all of this. So I think like that really helped. Having done that like practice walk helped. And then once you get through the doors and you're there and you're looking at everyone, it's kind of tough. You have Kevin staring right into your soul, right in the middle, right? Just like staring at you for 30 seconds. But I think what was really nice is Lori and Daniel are to the right of Kevin, if you're looking at them to the right, and both of them like have a nice smile on their face. And it's just like
Big heart
it
energy
really calms
there.
you down a little bit. The other three don't have a smile on their face at all, but seeing Daniel Lubetsky and Lori's smile definitely kind of made you feel like, you know what, everything's fine. So yeah, I think. And the other thing is like your set is there, and that's the first time you've ever seen your set. You've planned it with the production team. You've planned it. You've printed it. You have sketched it out in Photoshop, but like that's the first time you've seen it. So I
Mm.
think like that was really cool to me, was walking through, and then when looking at the sharks, trying to make yourself look as investable as possible, and then kind of seeing your set there is a really cool moment. So yeah.
Okay, let's put a definition on investable.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. I think to me it's going to be someone that um one is doing something, is working on something, whatever that business does, that is like really close to their heart. And I think like if you're working on something close to your heart, whether it's something that has a high, um has some really high multi-million dollar type valuation at the end, or something really small, as long as it's close to your heart, like I think that that should give an investor confidence that you're going to really work on this really hard. So um I think that's what it means. And I think for me, even though it wasn't intentional, like most of my pitch was really focused on why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I think it's so important. And um I do think that that really I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong because a few people passed at the beginning, but to me that really, as an entrepreneur, if I was investing in a business, I think I would really care about what does that person, how close is this business to that person's heart, because it's been hard. And if this business wasn't close to my heart, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I would have given up, right? Like so many times. So um I think if I was working on something that wasn't important to me, um I feel like an investor would just be throwing their money away. So yeah.
I think that is a wonderful answer because, yeah, if you're not that passionate about it or you're not that invested in it, I mean, that's why we see sometimes like people are like, oh, I have this app and I'm going to blah, 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 blah. It can do all these things. And it's like,
Yeah.
are you, are you the developer? Well, no. And it's like, oh, well, then I'm
Mhm.
not as interested because
Yeah.
you need to be able to update your own app, right? You need to be
Mhm.
able to develop out your own, flesh out your own
Mhm.
ideas and make it a thing.
Yeah.
And you might just pop off to the next thing that grabs your attention. And meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'm stuck like wanting my $100,000 back. Like, what the
Sure.
heck?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And um I mean, not to go on a tangent, but like that's like having a big social impact mission is like, this is not obviously why we have it, but it's like one of the best recruiting tools ever, because like literally everyone who's applying to us, um well, the ones that stand out, like they care about something bigger than just their role, and it shows in their work, right? Like it shows in their work, it shows in our team. And um like it's really cool knowing that all of my team members are there with a common goal, right? So having that like common, like you're literally walking the same path as everyone else, right? So even though we all have our own responsibilities, like you were saying, the developer, like knowing that everyone joined for one reason, like that, it has been like just an amazing recruiting tool, or even just an amazing tool for alignment.
No, I love that. I think it makes life a lot easier
Mhm.
in business when everybody wants to be there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and feels that same passion for it rather than just going through the motions. Because that, I
Yeah.
mean, nothing's more toxic in a workplace than literally. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're the owner or not. Like working with coworkers that just
Yeah.
are going through the motions is
Yeah. Yeah.
such a
No. abs-
drowning experience.
Absolutely. And some of our team members are old customers, actually, that
Oh, that's awesome.
first were customers and then saw a job posting and applied. And it's just like, okay, you know what? There's no better sign that you're committed to what we're doing than the fact that you were a customer a year ago, right? So yeah, it's been great.
No, I love that. So you get your pitch underway, and how run me through some of the emotions that you were going through, some of the thoughts you were going through as the as your pitch and the Sharks were starting to play out what their thoughts were.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my one thought was like, wow, why is my voice so high pitched right now? I was just so excited, I guess. And I was like literally talking, and you memorize your pitch because you practice so many times. I was just like, I was saying these words, and I was like, wait, why does my voice sound so high pitched right now? It was really interesting.
Well,
So
you can't just go, don't go by my video because my videos are sped up
oh
slightly.
no,
So
it's not your video. Yeah. So actually, I've only watched the episode once so far. I
oh,
haven't watched it
okay.
more than once, and I haven't watched the whole episode yet. So it's really
Oh,
interesting. I
okay.
know it's just like I wanted to, but things got so busy right after the episode, and I still need to do that. But I think I'm just nervous about it. I've watched other people's episodes, and I've watched new ones. I just haven't watched mine. But what was going through my head? Honestly, I think like a big part of it was just there were there were a few sharks that I was really focused on, which I can share. So I think a lot of it was just like everyone's talking to you at once, and you can't really tell on TV because they're obviously using their mixer to pick whose audio to use, but everyone's talking to you at once, and you have to direct the room, and you have to basically tell these people that you've idolized for, half of a decade, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'll have to come back to you. I need to answer this person's question. And like, that was probably what was going through my head. It's like, who just asked that question? I'm supposed to answer this person's question. So it was a little bit of like project planning in my head. Like, who do I need to answer? Who do I talk to? And then knowing that there's a couple of sharks I was really targeting, should I focus on them or should I go in order? Like, that was probably what was going through my head.
And who were the sharks that you were hoping to walk out
Yeah.
with the deal with?
Sure. I mean, obviously, I was there to potentially work with anyone, but I was really excited about Daniel Lubetsky and Lori.
Mm.
So we were actually not supposed to be filmed that day. We were supposed to be filmed a little bit later, and then they couldn't tell me who. They just moved me to the first day of filming, and they were like, "It's to pair you with the guest shark," and I was just like, "Oh my goodness!" And I was like, "Is it this person?" And they're like, we can't say. And I was just like very hopeful that it was him.
They
And so
couldn't tell you? Like, how are you supposed to
like
prepare for that?
weeks in advance, they didn't tell us. And then once we got
Right.
much closer, they did confirm like who the
Yeah,
guest.
so that's my I mean that's my
Yeah,
understanding is that they
yeah,
tell you like a week or two out like
correct.
who it's going to
As we
be,
got
so you
much
have
closer,
the
they did
chance.
say, "Hey, it is going to be Daniel Lubetsky." So once it
Okay,
was Daniel, Lori and Daniel were for sure the two people that I had my eye on. I think any of them would be great, but those were the two specific ones that I had my eye on.
you made it sound like you were in the trailer and they were like, "Oh yeah,
No, no, no,
like
no.
we got you here a day
Yeah,
early," and then you're in the
no,
trailer
a
and they're
week or
like, "Well, who is it?" And
two.
you're like, "I don't,
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
no,
tell
sorry,
you."
like a week or two before they
Oh,
told me.
okay,
But
okay.
originally, I wasn't supposed to be with Daniel. I guess I wasn't with the guest shark originally, so I knew it wasn't going to be Daniel. But then once I found out it was, I was really excited. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yep.
awesome. So Daniel or Lori,
Hmm.
um, and yeah, I mean, I would say that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
But well, maybe not so much the Daniel one, other than the
Hmm.
kindness and
Sure.
you wanting
Yeah.
people that like come from the heart. But
Yeah.
like, why? What about Lori? Like, what about Lori
Sure.
is was attractive to want to do a deal with her?
Yeah. So a few things. So one, um, we didn't necessarily need an investment, right? Like we didn't necessarily need an investment, but we wanted an investment because it would help us. It would help us with a lot of things, but we weren't going to go out of business if we didn't get an investment. So I wanted to make sure whoever we worked with was someone that I was really excited about going to work with,
Mm.
really excited about working with their team. And, after watching Shark Tank for a long time, I just really um, I really enjoy some of the businesses Lori's invested in. And besides that, like she just seems like someone that is so friendly and really gives you good feedback. Um, and doesn't just give you feedback, like even on the show, she doesn't just like immediately talk. She like thinks about it and then she'll give you feedback after that. So I think like for me, like that was really exciting. And then for Daniel, obviously Daniel's in the food space, not really a parallel collection connection. But at the same time, he's also like the original social impact entrepreneur, right? Like
Mm.
even if you go back before Blake Mycoskie from Tom's, like Daniel has had social impact in his heart for a long time, and so I think like that part was really appealing to me. Um, and also Daniel is really good at brand. Like I had read his book, before the show. I had already read Daniel's book, and um, he's really good about brand. And so I just thought, even though we're not selling food or bars or chips, whatever, we are trying to develop a brand further, and I thought he would be a huge asset there. So those two I really had my eye on. Kevin, not so much. Barbara, not so much. And Mark, I was obviously like excited about just, one of the greatest businessmen of our generation would have been exciting. But Lori or Daniel were the ones that I thought made most sense for me.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, in my video, I was like, oh, to me, Kevin makes a lot of
wedding. Yeah,
sense with the whole
yeah,
diamond, the whole wedding,
wedding. Yeah,
situation that he's built
yeah,
around himself. But yeah, I think,
yeah,
look, I'm always of the mindset everything happens for a reason, and having somebody who gets the social impact aspect. I mean, it was, it's kind of. I mean, I don't want to say it was meant to be because I'm sure it was fixed by the producers. So it was like meant
probably.
to
Yeah,
be, and
sure,
but hey, you could have not been involved in that, in that season. You could
yeah,
have gotten the fourth rejection and
for
went to
sure.
go get the fifth the fifth rejection, the fifth
Yeah,
opportunity to
yeah,
go
yeah,
on, and who knows how it would have played out. But
100%.
um, so when it came to uh, Daniel and
Kevin.
wanting
Yeah, sorry.
to push you down in your valuation,
Yeah,
like uh, like what was going through your mind when because obviously it's all edited down
yeah,
from a lot longer,
yeah,
45 minutes, an hour
yeah.
plus.
I think we were out
um
there 54 minutes. Yeah,
54 minutes, there
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you know exactly.
Right in the middle. There you go. Yeah.
What's going through your mind? Like, were you worried at any point that that they could slip away?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think Mark was telling Daniel to back out.
Yes.
And they showed in the episode, but he was saying it much more in real life. And I think, and of course, all of them were out except Kevin at first. And so I really was just trying to do everything to get someone to come back in. I did not like the deal from Kevin personally. And the wedding business, the thing for me, which I guess they couldn't show, was he does have an amazing, amazing wedding business. I think for me, it's just like we're a little bit ahead of the wedding stage. We're more on the engagement stage, right? Which is about a year before the wedding. So I actually was trying to tell Kevin that I believe it can be very mutual. Like we can also help him because we're getting customers before the wedding, and then they funnel very well right into his businesses. And um, but so I really was excited when Daniel jumped back in. So that was one. I think second thing, I was trying to do math, and I'm actually really good at math. I'm really good at doing math in my head, and I don't know what it was, but I couldn't do the math in my head. And I was just like really struggling to do this like very basic math. Like 15% is a very simple number to calculate a valuation on. And I don't know what happened to me on stage. And I was just like really struggling um, to figure out this basic math, which usually would be no problem. So that was like the second thing that was happening. Um, and then I think thirdly, I also was starting to lose some confidence because Mark was telling Daniel to back out. And I think we were approaching like probably that 51, 52-minute mark. And I think they were kind of starting to feel like, hey, we need to get going, and um, so there were a lot of things going through my head, and I clearly remember some of those. I think what was really when Daniel added the charity part, the first time I missed that. I didn't even hear him say it, that he was going to do of the 15%, 3% would go to my cause. And then once he said that again, um, I honestly was like pretty much set. Like, okay, this is awesome. This is like he's on board. He obviously cares about the goal. And I created this company for one reason. It wasn't for evaluation. It was to help bring people more water. And this is going to help us do that. So it was going to be an acceptance at the end, for sure. I think I just wanted like one last chance to see what we could do with him. I feel like I had convinced him that I was a good entrepreneur. So I think I had one more shot, but I was about to take it at the end and I changed my mind. I was like, no, like this charity thing, like definitely is good enough for me. I care about that very much. And the fact that Daniel cares about that is good for me. So then that's why we accepted it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that. him getting down on one knee was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Played into it.
It was really cool, and then I saw on TV, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't like." He did that, and I didn't respond well to him, so that was a little bit, yeah. I wish I had done a better job with that, but yeah, that was really exciting. And on TV, all the other sharks were actually like really excited too about that. So yeah,
I mean, that's something I pick up on anytime I film myself too. Is sometimes my face doesn't always react to the thing that, like, in hindsight it's like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like,
yeah,
how, like, that doesn't
yeah,
happen every day on TV.
yeah,
And but in the moment, like you say, like, oh, we were struggling to do basic math. Like, the amount of adrenaline that's running through your body, the amount
yeah,
of like
yeah,
everything that's going on and swirling around you. I mean, look, I'm no, it's no secret here, I'm not great at doing math in my head,
mm,
period, unless we're talking about an even number.
sure,
Like, it's something I need to get better. I try my
yeah,
best to get better at it every day because I do my videos in real time. So,
yeah,
I'm not like, okay, pause video. Okay, what's the valuation?
yeah,
And sometimes I've gotten it wrong,
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
because I went the opposite direction,
yeah,
that I was
yeah, yeah,
supposed to go. So it's one of those things that you when you're in that moment, it's a lot to take
yeah,
in. I mean, that's one of the reasons they have the therapist right
yeah,
after the fact, right, to
yeah,
help you decompress
sure.
all of the emotions and
All these,
everything
yeah.
flying around.
Yeah, actually, after the show, when you exit out, sorry, maybe I'll let you get to that, but
Oh,
to
well,
t-
we'll get to the end of
yeah, I'll let you
after
get
the
to
show.
that later. Yeah.
So you ultimately take the deal, which you said, like, you would, you obviously you wanted to do a deal, but good on you to push back and
Mhm,
get that commitment of 3% for your cause, which
mhm.
in Daniel's case, makes a difference.
Yeah, and
Because if
it
you
could
didn't
end
have
up
that,
being a
he
huge
probably wouldn't
amount,
have
so
been as interested.
yeah, correct, and I mean, it's basically taking 3% of the company. Um, it's not 3% of his stake, it's 3% of his of the whole company, basically, right? So it could end up being a massive amount towards this great cause. So that's what's really exciting about it, and, again, it's basically of the 15%, 12 goes to him, 3 goes to the cause. So it's like a massive percentage of potential value.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. So, so you get your deal with Daniel. And you're walking out. What's going through your mind
yeah.
and all that?
Um, so walked out, was really excited that it was Daniel. Also, I think I came very close to losing the deal. So also just kind of a little bit of relief. And then, right after you exit, they ask you questions, right? And I think the first question they told me was like, "Wow, Krish, like your valuation really took a hit. Like, what do you think?" Like they ask you the questions and then you talk back, and then they show you the talking back part. And when they told me the valuation, I was like, "Wait, wait, wait, no, that's not right." I was like, "It's actually this," and they were like, "No, no." And then they like took out their phone and they checked. They're like, "No, it's this," and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I did the math wrong." And I was like, "Wow, I did the math wrong." And I was like, "But you know what? It's all good. Like we still 3% goes to the cause. It's all good." So I'm so glad they didn't show that part because it would have been very embarrassing to admit, like, I just, after doing all this for so many years, I made a silly math mistake and gave away 15% of my company on bad math. But I'm glad they didn't show that part. But that's what happened right when I came out. And then I asked them, "Hey, can you ask some more questions?" And so yeah, so I honestly don't think it would have impacted things too much. Maybe I would have pushed back one more time, which could have costed the deal. I don't know, but
I mean, he
that
was
three
counting
percent
down.
really
He
set.
was counting down with his fingers. So
Yeah, but that 3% really was that was a deciding factor.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Look, yeah. I mean, look, mistakes.
yeah,
Like I said, it's a high pressured situation.
multi-million-dollar mistake, but yeah, it's all good. And I think the other thing that was going through my head too was like it was the first time that when I was walking back through, I was like paying attention to like these details. Like, whoa, there's like the rocks, there's the water, there's the sharks on TV. Because up till now, everything was about preparation. And like literally within 10 seconds of accepting the deal, giving Daniel a handshake and leaving, everything all of a sudden was just like, whoa. Like, and noticing like these little details, like, whoa, these doors open and close themselves. Like, just like noticing these small details that you didn't notice before, you know? So that was also kind of nice, like to appreciate, like, my goodness, this studio is absolutely beautiful. Like, so that was kind of cool too. Like, I had seen like TV sets before, but this is like remarkable. It's like one of the most beautiful, um, venues or whatever you would call it. And it was just cool to appreciate that.
That, look, it is the small details. I've heard,
Yeah.
some of the people that have been on the show have talked about taking it in that 30 second,
Mhm.
standing there on the carpet waiting to, get
Mhm.
started. It's it is it is a fascinating set,
Yeah.
to say the least, because of how massive it is. And
So big.
I meant to say earlier about how you didn't necessarily hear the 3% in the first place. Is I mean, you guys are so far away at this
Yeah.
point that it is hard, I'm sure, to hear. It's almost disappointing that they don't give you like an earpiece or something to be able to hear them.
Yeah, they do
Um,
have speakers
I
though.
know they have speakers
Yeah.
behind them, but
Yeah,
you
they
don't
have
have any
yeah,
kind of
that's
amplification.
interesting. Yeah, I think I would have heard them if it wasn't for people talking over other people. Um, which but I mean, yeah, I mean, I just totally missed it, and then I saw on TV that I missed it, and I was like I remember watching it again, I've only watched it that one time and being like, "Wait, what?" Like, he didn't say that the first time, like, did they, like, edit this or what? But he said it, I just completely missed it, you know? So,
Mm.
um, so, yeah, so it was great, and yeah, the other thing too when walking out was that I also just remember thinking in my head was it was like at the height of Delta, right? COVID Delta variant. So
Mhm.
we weren't sure if we were even going to be able to shake their hand after doing a deal or not. It was the first day of filming, the very first day. So they basically told us like they're not sure what the Sharks are going to do. So I also just like remember thinking like, whoa, like I actually did get like a hug with Daniel. Like I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was just going to be like a. So I also remember thinking like, whoa, that's great. I just got a new investor for the first time ever in Do Amore. Got to greet him and now like appreciating all these beautiful details. So it was just like a bunch of random thoughts that went through my head. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is a departure from how the season prior, where
Mhm.
nobody was able
Yeah,
to touch anybody,
for
and
sure.
it definitely was different,
Hmm.
and to not know, because people going on next season know what this season brought,
Sure.
but assuming that things don't get worse again.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, I know. And with the first day of filming, like I just don't think they knew. They didn't know what was going to happen. So it was cool to get to actually greet them and stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Hmm.
awesome. And you didn't have to go through the quarantine process.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Absolutely. Just a bunch
hooray.
of COVID tests, but no quarantine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was great. Yeah.
So you get back. Do you tell your team after that, or wait, I'm sorry, you
Yeah.
said you didn't tell your team
Yeah.
at all, and went through that. So let's fast
Yeah.
forward to um, launch night. Or launch night, the
Yeah.
airing night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, did you guys have a party? How did that go?
Yeah. So we had uh, family, friends, team members come to our house in the backyard, and we had a nice little watch party. So that was awesome. Um, it was pretty. It was just really cool to see, and like my children, my little kids, like seeing me on TV was cool. It was cool for them for like 10 seconds, and then they go back to what they were doing. But it was just really cool, and um, it was just so cool. I think I mean, I wasn't necessarily really proud of like what I accomplished myself. I think I was just really proud of like what my family, my wife has gone through with me leaving my job to start a business, what my team has gone through to, continuously put in their best work every day. Like it was just this moment of pride, I think, for me. So that was really exciting. And then we had some fun games where since no one knew what happened, we had games for people to guess if I got a deal or not. If we got a deal, who was it with? What was the valuation? And then we had, Do Amore swag for the closest guess. So it was just kind of like a fun time. It was a lot of fun. And, had a little screen of like the Google Analytics up to kind of track traffic during the episode so everyone could see. So it was just fun. It was cool. Yeah.
That's a fun that's a fun touch there to
Yeah.
be able to show everybody like how many like hundreds to thousands of people a
Yeah.
minute are just like
Yeah.
flooding into the
Yeah,
site.
for sure. It was cool. And then the site went down 3 minutes in.
Oh, gee.
Um, the site went on. Yeah. So we had upgraded to Google Cloud's highest tiered server. The highest tiered server is super expensive. And it was insanely expensive for a month, and it still crashed. And unfortunately, it kind of stayed off and on for and it came back on 7 minutes after the West Coast airing was finished. So that really was
Whoa.
unfortunate. That really hurt, obviously, but we did the best we could. We did everything we could. We quickly got a landing page up just to tell people we'll alert them once the site is back up. So we did everything we could. But yeah, once like Google Analytics hit like 9,400 people, 3 minutes in, it just stopped. Everything stopped. Yeah.
Was that on West Coast time
That
or
was the
on
East
East Coast
Coast
time?
time. That was
East
East
Coast.
Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
because you said you're in Houston,
Yeah, we're in Houston, so in
so
Central. So we
you're
followed the
central.
Central East one. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that was really cool to kind of see. And after the episode, it goes back to troubleshooting and helping get the site back on and answering customers' emails and questions and all of that. But it was a really fun hour to, or I guess 10 minutes to spend with the family friends watching.
That's
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, that's definitely work to be done
yeah,
at that point.
yeah,
Did
yeah,
you so how many orders came in from all those
yeah,
people, right? Like
for sure.
and how far of a backlog, right, as I hinted at before, like that was my question is like because you're not building up inventory, how
Yeah,
long is the backlog to get, to be able to get one at that
yeah.
point?
Honestly, the backlog. I think we added a couple of days to shipping times to be cautious, but it wasn't much. We built everything
Really?
to order. We had to let manufacturing know ahead of time. We had sourced extra metals. We were ready. And don't get me wrong, like it's been busy. Shark Tank's helped a lot. It's been remarkable. But an engagement ring or a wedding ring is not a product you buy
That's
on
true.
just like, based on, hey, I just saw this cool sponge on Shark Tank or this cool, light or deodorant, whatever it is. Like you don't just buy it on impulse. So it is a very well thought out process. So we don't get like thousands and thousands of orders in a weekend like some Shark Tank companies do. And I think those thousands and thousands of orders will come. It's just going to come over the entire next year. So it still was definitely a boost and it's still been amazing, but it also is not like where you have hundreds of orders a day immediately, which is kind of nice in a way. It allows us to continue to be so picky about quality and service. And, we're working with people oftentimes on the most expensive thing they've ever bought up till that point in their life and on one of the most important days of their life. So it is kind of really important for us to make sure that service doesn't dip and that quality doesn't ever dip. So yeah.
No, that's a fair point. I honestly didn't think about that from that
Yeah.
perspective of it being the engagement rings and people are just running
Yeah.
out to get
No, no,
engaged just because
absolutely.
they saw a Shark Tank episode.
No, 100%. Now, we did start selling jewelry a few weeks before Shark Tank.
Hmm.
Um, uh, same jewelry for like milestones in life, and it still has a significant impact to giving a person water and changing a life. So that obviously did better because that's a little bit easier to buy on impulse. Like, hey, I'm going to buy this earrings. My anniversary's coming up, or this birthday's coming up, and so that obviously did really well too. But even that, like, these aren't like, under $20 products, right? So it is, yeah, it's but fortunately we did tell manufacturing ahead of time. They did scale up and we were ready. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you reminded me, I got a 10th anniversary coming up here, so I
Oh,
might have to get
awesome.
some earrings or
Yeah.
something.
Congratulations. That's really exciting. Yeah, we're going to be
Thank
doing
you.
our eighth anniversary here in a few days. And
Woo!
it's
Oh,
actually
that's
really
awesome.
funny. Yeah, thanks. And the day we found out we were going to be on Shark Tank, because I was very excited, but then after you see episode after episode come and you're not getting that 3-week notice, you slowly start to lose hope again, right? And yeah, it was my wife's birthday, so I'd taken off work early. Before we went to dinner, my wife and I went to the gym, and I think it was one of those things where, like, man, just gonna check my email real quick, and I saw it on her birthday. So it was really special to get that on her birthday. And then her birthday dinner, unfortunately, ended up being a lot about Shark Tank and not enough about her birthday. So this anniversary, I'll make it up to her, and we'll have a birthday anniversary combo dinner. So yeah,
Hey, it's important. It's a once in a lifetime with a
yeah,
hopefully once, well, actually two once in a lifetime things, because you
mhm.
only get the birthday once,
Sure,
that number
sure,
once, and you get to
yeah,
the Shark Tank. Well, some get two, but very few ever get two chances in
sure,
the tank. So,
sure. And to
uh,
be fair, she was the one that was leading most of the Shark Tank talk. So yeah, sounds exciting.
oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
It sounds like my wife. She'd be asking all kinds of questions too,
sure.
like
Yeah.
along the way. But
And the best part, I got to tell the team finally. So that was like, that's what I was really excited about, to get to tell the team everything. So yeah.
oh, I
Again,
love it.
I think I adhered to that rule too strictly, I guess, but it was fun to finally tell people what was going on. Yeah.
Well, it's a I mean it's difficult because you don't want anyone on your team to go home and tell their spouse that tells
Yeah.
their
Sure.
friend that tells their friend that posts it on the internet and
Yeah.
leaks it out or anything like that ahead of schedule. And so I don't know if I would either want to tell people, like even in the team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that was one thing. And then the fact that they tell you not to, it's like, okay, I'm not going to. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was such a good experience. And like, even some of the feedback from people that didn't invest, like Mark's feedback, it's kind of exciting because like it drives you in a way, right? Like it
Mhm.
drives you, and some of the feedback's valid, right? And then some of the feedback's like, no, you're wrong, and I'm going to prove it out to you, even though you're not ever going to probably follow me or Joe Amore again. I'm still going to prove it that you're wrong, right? So some of that feedback's also nice, to try to go out and prove people wrong, and at the same time, we have an amazing shark on board. So yeah,
100%, 100%.
yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, Chris, to come on the show. Can you tell everybody where they can go to get Doe and More in their lives?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much. It's been really cool, and it's also been cool, kind of getting to talk to someone that you've kind of followed and seen on YouTube and watched episodes, over the past few months, especially when preparing,
Oh, really?
but even
Really?
before that, yeah, for sure. So,
Oh, what
um,
that? You,
yeah, it's helpful to hear the
welcome to the
interviews,
club.
right? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Doa More, where we believe that we can use special moments in life to change the world. And so every time we sell a ring, we bring a person access to water for the first time. This way, you can use your life changing moment to change someone else's life forever. Our website is doamore.com. It's DOAMORE, like do more with an A between the two words. So doamore.com. And yeah, would absolutely love your support. And if you end up watching this episode and buying something in the how did you hear about us, please let us know. It'd be really cool to tell Joe, hey Joe, Shark Tank did this much, but super entrepreneur, super Joe did this much in sales. So do let us know.
Yeah, please do. It's always awesome to hear. I love hearing when people, have used the channel to prepare for
Yeah,
their pitch, or help them with their business. And I mean, it's like literally what I live for. I've been doing this stuff since I was 6 years old. So
yeah,
for me, growing up in a warehouse and sweeping floors and counting inventory all the way up to
yeah.
like solving some of the biggest problems that we've had in our multi-million dollar businesses. It's just what I love to do.
That's
It's
really cool.
what I'm built for. But
No, that's really cool. And after going through so much Shark Tank for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then you have it, and then you have the hype from Shark Tank, and then the media and the press, like it's kind of cool to watch some of these episodes later because it like reminds you of the experience, and it's fun hearing Sarah from Curie talk about her experience and hearing other people talk about it because it kind of brings you back to those really exciting weeks. So it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I get to live like vicariously through all of you,
Yeah,
and it's a lot of fun. These interviews are just as fun as getting to do the reviews themselves,
that's
the
cool.
reaction videos themselves. So
Yeah, yeah.
I greatly appreciate you,
Yeah,
Super
thank you so much.
Krish.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was such a great time, and appreciate everyone that's watching out there.
Absolutely. I appreciate you making it
Yeah.
to the end. So we'll see you in one of these two videos over here. If you haven't watched Krish's episode yet, go check that out. And I will see you in the next video. Take care and go be super.